Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Source Comic Boom collaboration. Time for DC Spotlight for the week of May 28th, 2025. Coming down to the end of May. Time flies. A lot of big news in the world of comics. Uh, we'll start with kind of the sad news, although in a way, um, sort of relieving, I suppose. But the legendary comic writer Peter David has passed away after a long medical battle, years long. Couple strokes, some issues with his kidneys, I believe, a mild heart attack. He's been in the hospital, I think, for like the last 3 or 4 years, unable to go home, bouncing between the hospital and like a rehab center. Um, and so he passed away this last weekend at the age of 68, which not really that old, all things
No, not at
considered in
all.
this day and age. But yeah, those I think those health battles really kind of took a toll on him. So the good news, or kind of the good way to look at it, is he's at peace. He's no longer struggling with his health. Um, and then the sad part, is just brilliant guy, super funny, super humorous. And very knowledgeable about comics. I think back to that. I'll put air quotes, the feud he had with Todd McFarlane back in the early days of Image, which he took very seriously, and Todd took a little bit more tongue in cheek. Showed up at the panel. I can't remember what convention it was at. Todd showed up in just boxing shorts, like he was going to box, and Peter David as on the other side, wearing a suit and tie and had all kinds of prepared remarks and what have you. I was just kind of the kind of guy that he was. Um, so yeah, definitely a loss for the comic book community. And I'll just say, like, when you think about all of the stories that the guy wrote, especially for me, his run on Incredible Hulk, for me is really where where it starts and ends for me with my love of
Yeah,
Peter David. Like, he just phenomenal. He did incredible things other places as well, like his Young Justice and Aquaman run at DC are well
yeah,
regarded. Obviously, he created Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. He had a very critically acclaimed run on X Factor. But for me, where I discovered him and where I fell in love with his writing was on that Incredible Hulk. But regardless, the fact that he did so much work and created characters and fantastic stories for Marvel, and the guy dies in medical debt when Marvel's raking in billions of dollars off of ideas from guys like Peter David. That doesn't sit right with me. Like, bad enough Marvel wasn't taking care of him when he was still with us, where maybe he could have been with us longer. But I feel like Marvel should do the right thing and pay off those medical bills for his family, so they're not, not only grieving the loss of him, but also, stuck in with that crippling debt. So anyway,
yeah,
yeah, I'll get off my soapbox, and you probably have something to add, Rocky. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, first of all, I loved his Supergirl run. It is the definitive run for me. I liked it. I love his Supergirl run. I love Matrix Supergirl. It's such a wonderful iteration of that character. And he also did a sort of a spin-off called Fallen Angel. It was his own version of Supergirl, and it eventually went to IDW, and it became his own independent title. He got the rights. It was originally published by DC, but Fallen Angel is one of my favorite. If I was to rank my top 50, it would probably be in my top 20 of all time stories and characters. It's really really good, and it's just yeah, it's terrible that he's gone. I echo your sentiments. I understand somebody close to him, or I think somebody has opened up some sort of not a what do you call it, some sort of like you can donate some money to his family to
Yeah, I
help
mean,
them.
he had a GoFundMe for a long
Yeah,
time, that they would open and close as needed, and it's open now again because
yeah,
there's still a ton of medical bills. So yeah,
yeah.
just Google Peter David GoFundMe. You'll find it if
Find
you
it. Yeah,
um, feel like you want to donate or help out his family. Be much appreciated.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
In other news, I guess Mark Miller's been teasing for a while something big coming. Kind
Yeah,
of, the guy is like the master of self promotion. Made it seem like it was he was a return to Marvel, maybe DC, whatever. Now, come to find out, it's just a Kickstarter he's doing with John Romita Jr. It looks intriguing enough. It's $25 for the book. I don't know how many pages it is off the top of my head, but it's printed in the U.S. So if you're over across the pond, as they say, where Mark Miller actually lives, you're going to pay $50 because you got $25 for the book and then $25 for shipping or whatever. It looks okay. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of JR's art, but whatever. But anyway, so that tease, when the news came out today, it felt a little bit anticlimactic, to be honest with you, because he hyped it up so much. But then the news that has a lot of people talking, a lot of people excited. It was announced at Comics Pro earlier this year that by CB Cebulski and Marie Javins that there was going to be another Marvel DC crossover. It's been years since we've had one, and in typical Marvel DC fashion, like they've done for the last few, there's going to be two different, I guess, versions, you'd say, right? So it's a crossover. It's a team up between Batman and Deadpool. So DC will put one out. It's going to be kind of an anthology. There's probably what you would call like a feature, and then some other people as well are going to tell some stories with Batman and Deadpool. But the feature will be by Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. Now, this is the only reason that I'm excited at all, because I really don't care for Deadpool as a character at all. And Batman, you all know how I feel about Batman, most overused character in fiction. But the fact that it's Grant Morrison and Dan Mora, who I absolutely love their collaboration on Claws from Boom Studios, which is kind of a retelling of the legend or myth of Santa Claus. And Grant Morrison said, the only reason he's doing it is because it was a chance to team back up with Dan Mora. And there's other people involved, like Kevin Smith, I think, is doing a story, and some others. Now, so again, because it's DC publishing that Batman Deadpool. Now, on the other side, Marvel is going to be publishing a team up Deadpool Batman, and the main story there, again, anthology type, main story there written by Zeb Wells, Greg Capullo on art, which Capullo's over at Marvel now. It makes sense. In fact, he just posted on social media today a little sketch of Bruce Wayne, and the caption was like, "Hello, old friend." So I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to get more Capullo on Batman, which is always great. But I'm not really that excited. I mean, I'm sure we'll get the Batman Deadpool crossover in our press, whatever, and I'll read that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll bother to read the Marvel one or not. I mean, I do like Zeb Wells. I'm a fan of his work for the most part. But yeah, a lot of people super excited, and I get it. I mean, these are two of the biggest comic book characters around. They just don't happen to be two of my favorites, so kind of lukewarm for me. How do you feel about it, Rocky?
Well, I got mixed feelings about it, to be honest. Only because as a diehard comic book fan and as somebody who loves the classic JLA Avengers team up, uh, Batman and Deadpool, I completely understand. I mean, not only is Batman probably one of the top grossing actual box office movies, but Deadpool with coming off Deadpool is pretty famous in the box office as well. So it makes sense. I understand it, but it lacks. To me, it lacks true comic book. It has to have more. It has to have more characters. It should be more of a genuine sense of the full DC universe and full Marvel universe. This is really I just feel it's a little bit of a cop out. I mean, it's just two separate stories too. It's like very meh to me. I mean, obviously I'm gonna get it, but it's just gonna be more of the same of what everything's wrong in comics. Going big hype. There'll be 10 trillion different covers, one in the, ratio variance, everything that leaves a bad taste in my mouth about comics, this is going to literally embody. But hey, look, Capello, Mora, Grant Morrison. I mean, good God, I mean, you got grade A talent there. So I got, again, it's a mixed bag for me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they've done these before where it's just been, so they've done it where it's been, think of like Amalgam or like you said, JLA Avengers.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they've also X-Men Titans, Teen Titans
Yeah,
again,
no,
a
they
lot
did
of characters, but they've
Daredevil and
also done,
Batman and Spawn, and yeah, I get it.
yeah, Spawn and Batman, Superman and Spider-Man. And
Yeah,
we'll have the villains too, some villains crossing over. But anyway, Kevin Smith, Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson, Adam Kubert, Terry Dodson, Guru Hiru, Zeb Wells, Greg Capullo, Tim Townsend, Alex Sinclair. Those are some of the names that are attached to it so far. So anyway, I'm sure there's a lot of comic fans out there that are fans of Deadpool, fans of Batman. They're really happy about that today. So anyway, it's big news. Had to mention it. But let's go ahead and dive into the books this week. Starting off with Harley Quinn, number 51, from writer Elliot Kalin. Mirka Andolfo is the artist. Triona Farrell on colors. Lucas Catoni on letters. This is in neither of our top five. It comes in at actually number 10 for me. And again, not that it's bad, not that I didn't enjoy it, just other things are better. And I will say that the Kaylin run of Harley Quinn for me so far has been like the best run since the Stephanie Phillips run, maybe even better than Stephanie. Like it's not over yet, so still waiting to kind of feel out. And maybe I shouldn't say better than Stephanie, but just different. So different. Like Stephanie's was a very kind of cerebral take where she tried to balance the brains with the zany, and Caitlin's just going for like fun. It's and usually I don't like the completely insane zany Harley Quinn, and he's not doing that. Again, it's a little more cerebral, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, she's for the last couple of issues been battling her own brain, like in her own head. It's been a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've been enjoying it. So anything to add, Rocky?
Yeah. I have to give a compliment to the cover here. I believe Andolph. Oh no, it's I don't know. It's by Torque, but this cover A is incredible with the side with it shows a like Harley's head seems to be cut in half, and it shows all the chaos going on in her head. I think it's a This is what cover A should be. Absolutely gorgeous. And beats all the variant covers as well. So I really shout out to the cover. It's really great. And I share your sentiment. This is actually probably one of the better issues I find with Mayfly and Gun Bunny, and they're sort of like deciding whether or not to kill Harley Quinn. She's sort of passed out. She's having that crisis, talking to herself, and so it's there's a lot going on here. There is actually humor here. One of the way this stands out over previous runs is that I do actually find myself there are actual funny moments that I'm actually finding this comical and funny. It's just again, it's just not my particular favorite iteration of Harley Quinn. But not I don't want to take anything away from writer Callan. It's it's good. I mean, it's good for what it purports to be. This iteration, and I ranked it at number 9. For me this week out of the 12 comics we're reviewing.
Wow, you ranked it
But
higher than I did.
yeah, but I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just again, it's not. Well, it's neither of ours really preferred iteration of Harley Quinn, but I really like that cover. I've stopped buying Harley Quinn covers pretty much, but this one I might pick up because I just really like it.
Yeah, Elizabeth Torque on that cover. She's
Yeah,
mostly known for her cover work. So,
excellent job. Yeah.
uh, all right. Up next, book that's in both of our top five. If I'm not mistaken. Let me
Yeah.
get the rankings back in front of me. Yeah. Yeah. So it's Absolute Martian Manhunter, written by Dennis Camp, art by Javier Rodriguez, letters by Hassan Otsman Elhau. It's in your top three, actually. It comes in at number 4 for me. So based on that, I'll let you go first. Give us your thoughts.
Well, you assume when I read to you my top 5 that I gave them to
Oh,
you
that's
in a
true.
particular order.
That's true. That's true.
Although you did guess right, it is in my top. It is in my top 3. And to be honest with you, if this was in any of the previous weeks, this probably may not have made my top 5. But I thought it was very easy to pick my top 5 this week. But in any event, Ryder Dennis Camp here, what I continue to be intrigued by is just how he's playing with both with the creative team, with the colors, with the artist, just the idea of this this growing misery, the white Martian. We know we're learning more and more about the Martian mind hunter, I guess you could call him, who's taken over John Jones' head and mind. But we also know that uh, as he's learning to develop and read the minds of the people around him, it's clear that this white Martian, this alien entity that's from hundreds of billions of light years away, is also having a negative impact on the citizens of Gateway City, and it's causing them to literally start fires, and and they're almost like losing control of themselves. And while it's suddenly the way it's experienced is that random people are burning down buildings, random people are committing crimes, and the only person that really knows something is off, and it doesn't seem like there's a pattern to it. Random people that are not, they're disconnected from each other. It's not a terrorist group. It isn't. It's like why random people with no connections to each other are committing these atrocious acts, and children are being burned to death, and people are dying horribly, and the only person that can see something is off is, of course, Martian Manhunter, because he can see this sort of white cloud which I think is almost symbolic of the white Martian, the enemy around these people. And one thing about this comic is that if you're accustomed to reading a comic book in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, this is probably this comic really cries out for your patience. This is a comic that you very much you're going to enjoy a lot more if you get used to taking your time. There's a lot of words. It's very wordy, a lot of exposition, but there's so much there, both in terms of how the Martian Manhunter speaks through the mind of John Jones. Or it's is that his name in the? Is it Tyler? No, that's his son's name.
Yeah, it's John Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, John Jones. But the way that Martian Manhunter speaks through John Jones, and there's a lot of, I mean, a great job on the lettering, by the way. The letterer here, who is the letterer? I should give him a
Hassan Atzman El Hal.
yes. He does a bang up job. It's just the way the lettering is on all the pages, and it's and the coloring of the word balloons and the placement of the letters and everything is so important, along with the coloring that's going on to get to convey to the reader. And a lot of it's left up to our own interpretation. How do we convey this this collage of colors that bombards our senses as we get this sense that this growing despair amongst the people of Gateway City, and how they're dealing with it, and how John Jones is interpreting it through the help of the Martian Manhunter, who's trying to sort of teach him how to read things. There was also at one point John Jones is walking through a fire, or he's at a building that was on fire, and it we get hints of a potential ability that Martian Manhunter has to sort of protect John from heat, protect his lungs from heat. So maybe there's some invulnerability. Maybe there's some hints at further superpowers that he has, or meta abilities. So this mental connection, it might also have an impact on John Jones physically as well. Might be able to protect him physically. So we're getting hints of that. Anyways, I continue to be intrigued. And what I like about it is that we're the third issue in. I feel that we're getting. It's almost like we almost got 3 individual stories here, and yet they're all kind of unified because of this white Martian, this threat. And I continue to ask all these questions. I'm intrigued. It's pulled me in, and it's one of those comics. I don't always have patience when I read comics. I have patience when I read this one, and thank God, because I'm rewarded by the time I get to the end of it. And I really quite enjoyed this, and it made my top 3 for sure. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty interesting because he is in a burning building, and the main universe Martian Manhunter's weakness is fire. But this one being in the mind of John Jones and can protect him from fire. That's an interesting change. The other thing I wonder about is this whole idea of a white Martian. Is the white Martian an enemy of the Martian Manhunter, from his own dimension or reality or existence or what have you? Or especially with the scene that we got at the end, where it seems like the white Martian's manifesting, we're told, from the despair of the people in Gateway City. Is the Martian Manhunter discovering the white Martian here on our planet?
Yeah.
Is the white Martian something that's like from our gestalt? Like, if you go, I think it might be on the previous page, Rocky. Nope, keep going up. It definitely is there. What? Maybe it's more toward the middle of the book. I thought it was at the end, but there's a scene where John Jones is looking out over the town, and he's basically seeing this this like giant white cloud in the sky. And if you look, there it is there. And yeah, that's like, again, it looks like the white Martian is. So it could be one of two things, right? The white Martian is manifesting itself through the despair of the minds of the people of Gateway City, or it could be that the white Martian is kind of what the Martian Manhunter sees as the kind of overall despair of society that's created. So
Yeah.
I'm real curious about that. So because the other part of this that I always wonder, and usually it's not till after I finish reading it, I'm wondering later on, how this fits in with the rest of the Absolute books, right? Like, I keep thinking, like, okay, so eventually, if we get an Absolute Justice League, like everybody else seems like they would fit in, in their own unique way, except for John Jones. He would be really, because he hasn't manifested any other abilities, at any point, or not so far. And I know we're only 3 issues in, but you think about, like, the main universe Martian Manhunter is one of the most powerful. Like, he's got all the same powers as Superman. Again, he does have a weakness to fire, and he doesn't have the heat vision, but he's got the invulnerability and the super strength and ability to fly. Plus, he has telepathy. Plus, he can turn invisible. Like, he is like super powerful. I would have a hard time seeing John Jones going up against like the absolute Brainiac or somebody like that, right? Because he's kind of a regular guy. But I think that's okay. I like that this is so out there and different. And who knows what other powers might manifest at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be like, do you remember the book Prime from Malibu, when Malibu did their Ultraverse back in the day?
I do, actually. I do. I
Yeah,
remember
where
it.
he had, it was a little kid and he had like that protoplasm body. I kind of
Yeah.
envisioned that, right? Like,
Yeah.
if the Martian Manhunter can have some kind of like protoplasm body that looks like what we see him, the one-eyed green thing,
Yeah.
and John Jones is kind of like wearing it like a costume,
Yeah.
or some kind of, then maybe he'd be invulnerable and be able to do other things. Who knows? Who knows? Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Dennis Camp, we'll see what he does, but yeah, definitely worth your time, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Up next, we have another book that's in both of our top fives. It is in my top three. It's Green Lantern number 23 from writer Jeremy Adams. Art by Zermanico, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters by Dave Sharp, continuing the story of Hal Jordan in Hell. We saw him go to Hell last issue, along with who went with him? Zariel went with them, and they met up with Nort there, of all people.
The Phantom Stranger.
Phantom Stranger was there as well. And basically, they are there because there's something in Hell that Hal Jordan knows is there, that's going to help them perhaps rebuild the batteries, the power batteries for the different emotional spectrum varieties, for lack of a better term. So we know that all the different colors in the emotional spectrum, all the different parts of it, they all had their batteries destroyed. That's fractured the spectrum. People are manifesting different emotional spectrum powers without any kind of control or whatever, whether it be, red rage, or we haven't seen anybody. I mean, orange avarice or greed is only Larfleeze. I wonder what he's up to with no lantern, because right, he would always hoard his lantern. But the Green Lanterns are one of the only ones that do have one, because there was a backup battery on Earth that nobody knew about. But the Yellow Lanterns are struggling. The Red we saw in the Green Lantern Corps really struggling with Atrocitus. So the idea is, hey, if we can get the nth metal and gather some other parts and pieces together, we can rebuild these batteries and stop this fractured spectrum, stop the Starbreaker and Sorrow, and trying to destroy everything. So they go and they meet this, I think it's a guy. Adia is his name, Aidia. It's not a character we've seen before. I was like, is this somebody that I'm supposed to know who it is?
I googled it too, and I couldn't find anything. So.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything. So then I texted Jeremy and I asked him, and I was like, is this somebody I should know? And he's like, no, not necessarily. I'm like, all right. So I'm sure we're going to, I'm sure at some point we'll learn more about him. But it's, even though we don't, haven't seen him before and don't know exactly who he is, it's definitely intimated that this is somebody that Hal encountered when he was the Spectre. And that's how Hal knew this guy was in Hell. And in fact, after Hal gets this guy's wearing like this necklace around his neck that has like a somewhat of a lantern like kind of centerpiece on it, and Adi is pissed at Hal's taking it. He's like, hey, I thought you said I could keep it. Even in darkness it would light me or whatever. And Hal's like, yeah, sorry, things change. This is the least you can do to help us save the universe for all the evil that you did. And the guy just loses it, and he starts talking about how he's trying to eliminate all the innocence in the universe, and he really gets pissed off, and he starts talking about disgust. It's clear that he has like contempt for life and for existence. He looks on it with disgust, and then at the end, kind of to channel his rage, I guess, to channel his what his feelings are about it. Starbreaker shows up. It looks like to recruit him, and his emotion, I guess you're going to say, that he's going to channel is going to be disgust, right? So we know Nathan Broom, the ex-fiance of Carol Ferris, is channeling sorrow. Here's another kind of negative type emotion, right? Disgust, which is great. We'll see how that manifests itself, and how this Adia is, the avatar of that. Really interesting. But anyway, when Hal goes to leave, he's confronted by the Spectre, and we know with what we saw in the All-In special, things haven't been going real well for Jim Corrigan. Eclipso's very powerful right now, with dark side energy and all that stuff that's going on. And it looks like the Spectre is in need of a new host. Corrigan not able to do that for him. I don't know what happened with Crispin. But basically, the Spectre's like, tells Hal Jordan, yeah, you got to be my host again. And he's like, I got a job. I'm back doing what I was doing before. And Jordan knows the rules, and he calls the Spectre out on it. He's like, I know how this works. You can't get me to be your avatar unless I'm willing to be your avatar. So they have a little bit of a confrontation. I know there are... It's so interesting. Hal Jordan's been around for such a long time. There are people that, like me, who Hal Jordan is their Green Lantern. Yeah, I'm that old, right? There's other people that, and for a lot of those people, they hate, they're part of Heat, right? The Hal Emerald Advancement Team or whatever, where they sent hate mail and to DC Comics when they thought Hal turned into a villain or whatever, and he did. He straight up turned into a villain. Yes, Jeph Johns retconned it later and said he was infected with parallax, and explained it away. But at the time, it was like, no, Hal lost it, and those people get pretty upset about that. But yeah, between him being the original Earth Green Lantern, and then all the stuff he went through, quitting, and then trying to get the ring back when Predator was doing his machinations at Ferris Air and all that, and then all the other lanterns, and then for him to become Parallax, and then sacrifice himself and redeem himself to reignite the sun in Final Night, then become the Spectre. Like, there's all these different eras of the Hal Jordan like superheroic journey, and people gravitate to different parts of it. And there are those people that love the Hal Jordan Spectre era. And I was doing a little bit of reading online when I was trying to research if I should know who this Adia guy is, and I came across some people that were like, all they had to do was see this cover. All they had to do was see the main cover with Hal and the Spectre, and like, oh my God, is Hal going to become the Spectre again? Like, what's going on? Some guy even said, somebody said something about, oh, it's probably just some Hal Spectre crumbs. Like, maybe they're going to flash back when he was still the Spectre, or maybe they'll give some callbacks to it or whatever. And somebody else was like, man, I'll take all the Hal Spectrum crumbs I can get. Clearly they, loved that era. So, leave it to Jeremy to kind of mine that era of Hal Jordan. I love that he does that kind of stuff. I love this idea of this Adia character being a new avatar for a new emotion in the spectrum. Starbreaker, disgust. That's great. Having Nort show up was funny, and kind of explaining to Nort that he's not, he thought he was just on another planet. So all in all, a really fun issue. Plus, we had some action in outer space with Kyle Rayner and Odyssey and Connell Superboy and Dan Garrett Silver Scarab, I guess we'll call him, kind of running for their lives after rescuing Dan and getting some nth metal. That was action packed, and the art throughout was fantastic. You really see what a versatile artist Xermanico is, because the space stuff is really kind of bright and action packed and super fast paced, and then the stuff where they're in hell is a little more dark and dreary, which you would expect it to be. So I thought the art team did a fantastic job, and I give a shout out to the color artist as well, Romulo Fajardo Jr. Again, for the bright colors, tons of action in space, and then kind of that moodier palette that he used in in kind of the hell scene. So yeah, I mean, another home run from Jeremy here with a fantastic issue. I really loved it. So, what are your thoughts on it?
I think the only person you missed was Gnort.
I said Nort. I said Nort.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't know he
you
was
said
in
Nort?
hell.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we still don't know how Gnort did end up in hell exactly. So I mean, I'm sure that's a story that
Well,
Jeremy.
he said he went. He said he went through a. He goes, "Oh, I just found a portal in space," and I think
Well, yeah.
Zuriel was said
Well,
something about, yeah, they open from time to time.
yeah,
Like,
well,
wait,
maybe
what?
that's the story. Maybe there isn't more to the story. It is just Granora after all. But in any event, I don't have much to add other than the fact just it's a hell of a lot of fun. I love the art. My actual favorite scenes are with. I'm really starting to fall in love with Odyssey here, and Odyssey, Connell, Kyle Rayner, and Silver Sarah. I love those scenes. To me, it reminded of the Millennium Falcon out escaping something. You know, it reminded me of the Millennium Falcon in The Empire Strikes Back. That scene, it just had that vibe for it, and it just and I know it might have been a little bit tropey with this, you know, like they're flying into this teeth and this like giant like space creature with giant teeth, but I just loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a lot of fun. I love that. I love that. Kyle Rayner's a pretty good. He's actually a pretty good pilot. Odyssey has got some pretty good instincts. She's when she says when she can detect some bad vibes. It's almost I don't know what Odyssey's all her powers are, but she seems to have pretty good instincts when she says that they're in danger. She's usually right, and but yeah, I thought this was just so much. Jeremy Adams, he's covered so much ground. Every issue, he covers a lot of ground. He's very good at pacing because, you know, these are very different types of scenes with very different things going on, with different agendas of the characters involved in these scenes. And yet it does feel, it really flows very well from issue to issue. Now, obviously, if you're just buying this issue blind without knowing the backstory, you might be a little bit lost. But it's sort of like how many people but you'd still be excited because these are action scenes. It's like, wow, what's the backstory here? How did they end up in this situation? This is a lot of fun, and this is the stuff. This is the type of comic that even if you didn't read any of the previous issues, you pick this up and you want to go buy the previous issues to figure out how they got here because it's just a hell of a lot of fun, and it's all action packed, and every character's got something to say. So good job, Jeremy Adams and the rest of the creative team. And I get, yeah, Xermonico, great job, Romeo Frigido Jr., one of my favorite colorists. I remember him back when he first started on DC's Wonder Woman back in the day. So it's good to see his colors shine through. Great job.
All right. Up next, in neither of this is crazy to me. In neither our top five because it's so promoted. Batman 160, which is Hush 2 Part 3.
Yeah.
Written by Jeph Loeb, pencils by Jim Lee, Scott Williams on inks, Alex Sinclair on colors, Richard Starkin on letters. I haven't actually heard too many people talking about this as oh my god, Hush 2, so good. I'm going to Comic Book Roundup right now to check and see. We should have reviews in for the first couple issues. I'm just curious. But for me, I could kind of sum this up in one word. It's dated. This
Yeah.
feels very
Real dated.
90s, late 90s, early 2000 comics. I feel like we've moved beyond this. We've talked about it before on the first couple issues, especially with Jason Todd. This doesn't feel like the Jason Todd we know. It feels like this is coming, a month or two after the old Hush ended. Um, I don't, I,
It's
I don't understand.
yeah. It's not the
Um,
Riddler we know either. The Riddler is way off.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's very different. So interestingly enough, so Zdarsky kind of in the upper low eights, upper sevens, low eights, for 150 through 157, and then with 158, which was the first Hush, 6.8 average score, and then Hush 159, the last issue, 7.0. So significantly lower ratings for the critics. And then when I move over to users, it's even more stark, like 6.9, 6.7, 6.2. Like, yeah, people don't, at least the ones reviewing on a Comic Book Roundup, don't seem to be enjoying this. So I don't have anything else to say other than it's cool to look at the Jim Lee art. Art's pretty solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is
But
not interesting to me at
yeah,
all.
I agree. It's just it's really unfortunate. It's so disappointing. It's such a waste of Jim Lee's talent and Jeph Loeb's as well. It's funny because Jeph Loeb, I've been enjoying long, last Halloween,
Yeah.
that sort of tribute to Tim Sale. But this one just feels really, really dated, and it just doesn't seem to work. And it's interesting because I don't know why, but for some reason, last Halloween doesn't really feels a little bit maybe dated, but it doesn't bother me as much as it does with this Hush storyline, and maybe I'm not really sure why, but it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, up next, not in either of our top five either, and it is actually the final issue of the series. It's Metamorpho number 6 from Al Ewing, art by Steve Lieber, Lee Lowridge on colors, Farron Delgado on letters. This has been fun throughout. Definitely channeling the coming out of the real sort of fantastical Silver Age into kind of the early zaniness of the Bronze Age. And I thought Steve Lieber did a fantastic job on the art. I kind of wish it was continuing, but Metamorpho is, he's a C-lister at best. He's a great guy to have on a team book. Like I think about Batman and the Outsiders, and then the Outsiders. He's great for that type of book, but he's a little bit of a harder sell to headline his own book. But I'm glad we got this, and I wish we'd gotten a few more issues, because I think Al Ewing had more to tell here. But I'm not surprised by this cancellation, I'll say. Anything to add, Rocky?
Well, it's just speaking outside there's a breaking of the fourth wall on the final page, and there is a, one of the characters does turn to the reader and says, "If we want more Metamorpho, we've got to speak up." Um, I don't know if I want more Metamorpho. I sort of like it in bits and spurts like this, and I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this story. It is funny. I actually wish DC had the same attitude toward Harley Quinn, so we wouldn't need to see her so much. Uh, I but, no, it's yeah. Again, this was an enjoyable series, and, it's gonna make for a nice trade and a nice gift to somebody, because this is just it's entertaining, and it is actually funny.
Yeah, the only thing this series was missing was a Ramona Fradon cover. Wish it had come out while she was still around. She could have contributed a cover or two.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Up next, we have Green Arrow number 24. This does not make either of our top 10. I rank it at number 6.
Yeah.
Um,
Number 8 for me.
yeah, so just missed out. It's still very, very good. Written by Christopher Condon, drawn by Montos, colors by Adriana Lucas, letters by Hassan Otsman Elhau. This is the kind of issue that not a lot of comics do anymore. They would have finished up the Freshwater Killer uh, last issue, and in a way it did end with that last issue, with issue number 6. This is sort of an epilogue with kind of the fallout, and gives us adds some emotional context to that story. And interesting, because this is 7, right? So I would assume this is going to be in that trade. It wouldn't be in the first issue of the next trade, because then it wouldn't have the context of whatever. But interesting, because I'm surprised. I'm surprised DC let Christopher Condon do this, because again, for the most part, the story was wrapped up last issue. So to get this, where it's a lot of, hey, how did it affect those that were involved in this this freshwater scandal and freshwater murders and what have you? How did it affect their lives personally? It was really cool to see, because again, it provided a lot of emotional context. But this isn't like an issue that somebody could just pick up. I can't go, hey, Green Arrow's a great read. Pick up this issue, pick up issue 24 and read it, and you'll see what I mean, because they would be completely lost. And there's not a whole ton of action here with Green Arrow as well. He does confront the CEO of the corporation that caused all those problems for Freshwater. And so, but it's not like the guy's even fighting back. He's just a businessman or what have you. So, it you wouldn't expect him to be a supervillain or whatever. So when Green Arrow breaks into Horton Chemical and confronts him and says, "Hey, you're going to take care of these people," whatever. Again, it adds some closure, but it's not really what I would consider action. Although the uh, the page where Green Arrow bursts through the glass, like he shoots an arrow through the glass first, and then he jumps through the window. That art by Montos with him jumping through the windows. So yeah, that page there, if you're watching on YouTube, that's just fantastic. So yeah, a little surprising. Um, and if somehow there'd been enough room and Condon had managed to squeeze this into the last issue or had paced it out a little bit differently, this probably would have been in my top 5 because it just barely missed it. I couldn't, considering the other books that are out there, I couldn't give this a top 5 spot considering it didn't have a whole lot of impact on the story or really start the next arc. Because I bet you could read issue 23 and then go to issue 25 without reading this, and you might not necessarily even realize that you missed an issue. So, but again, I still really enjoyed it. So, anything to add, Rocky?
Yeah, I might ruffle some feathers with this because back when this storyline first began, there were some people that took issue with the fact that Green Arrow was sort of defending the freshwater killer. Because the freshwater killer was this, at that time we thought it was just one person, one of the victims of the chemicals of Horton Chemicals, and they had retaliated by basically becoming serial killers. And some people seem to be aghast at the fact that why is Green Arrow sort of defending that? That's not something Green Arrow would do. Couldn't disagree more. As social justice warrior would exactly see that side. I also think it's timely that with the murder of with that healthcare official in the U.S. Of the medical insurance company, and it was horrible, of course, and I'm not saying that the person who killed him is a hero, but don't lose sight of the fact that there's still a lot of corruption, of course, in the medical insurance industry, and I think this was kind of needed. I liked seeing this. I enjoyed the fact that Oliver Queen, he is a former CEO of Horton Chemicals. He was for a short period of time, and he feels partly responsible. And he's talking directly with one of the serial killers, and basically says that what you did was wrong, but I understand what underscored what you did. I'm gonna still do what's right and help those that are still surviving. And then he holds accountable Horton Chemicals, the CEO of Horton Chemicals, and of course he doesn't kill him. Now he does use intimidation. He used social justice tactics, and so that's Green Arrow. This is the absolute embodiment of the classic Green Arrow character that I know and love. And so I thought it was really well done, and I really enjoyed this issue, even though it might throw some people off who are just picking this up for the first time. I quite enjoyed it. Now, and again, I ranked it number 8, but it was still something that I enjoyed. And the art, you're right, is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, overall, this series has been a home run. I mean, almost every issue has been in my top 5. For exactly the reasons you're saying. This is who Green Arrow is, and I completely agree with you. Like, you understand, like this is not an easy problem to solve. I don't condone or praise the guy that killed the U.S. Healthcare CEO, but I understand you can't shit on people. You can't shit on the little guy indefinitely and expect there not to be repercussions. You just can't. I'm not saying that people deserve to be killed, but if you're mistreating people and you're not doing things the right way and you're corrupt, things could catch up to you. Not that I necessarily believe in karma and all that kind of stuff, but people only put up with so much shit for so long before they're going to strike back. So, and I feel like we're reaching that tipping point, right? Like, I mean, the majority of the wealth in the world has never been concentrated in the hands of so few people as it is now. And eventually there comes a reckoning for that. There's a price to be paid. So anyway, let's move on. Up next, we have a book that comes in at number 7 for me, but comes in Rocky's top 5. It's Justice League Unlimited, issue number 7. This is the Justice League Unlimited World's Finest Crossover We Are Yesterday, part 5 of 6. Written by Mark Waid, art by Travis Moore, colors by Tamra Bonvillain, letters by Ariana Mayer. This comes in at 7 for me, just because I don't know. It was only okay. This isn't the best art I've seen from Travis Moore. I was surprised when I double checked to see who the art was, and I was like, "This is Travis Moore." I usually enjoy his art a lot more than this. I don't know. This one just didn't resonate for me. I don't know if there's anything I could quite put my finger on, but it didn't make my top 5. Although I think overall I am enjoying this crossover. But anyway, what are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Well, Mark Waid, this feels like I'm reading a just. It feels like I'm reading a Super Friends cartoon on speed. It's just so much is happening, and Mark Waid is just giving us plot point after plot point, and it's just fun, and it's just an adrenaline rush, and it's fun. And in this issue, we get more absolute chaos, more Justice Leaguers being scattered around the timeline and in various time zones along the timeline, and it's all this happening while Elongated Man of all people is getting tortured by the Legion of Doom. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just it even sounds cool. And thank God the visuals here are excellent. And I like the fact that Gorilla Grodd's the bad guy, and he's the one who's on top here, and it's not Lex Luthor, but you have the machinations of the Legion of Doom wanting to, each one wants to manipulate, and we got Gorilla Grodd talking about relating it to. He talks about the what happened to Darkseid and how it opened up a rift, and how he's got a piece of the planet of Apocalypse, and with that piece of Apocalypse, he's can channel he can channel certain energies that will make all the Legion of Dooms like they will all gain godlike power. And now, how on earth would he know that or presume to know that? I don't know. I guess that's the comic booky science of the whole central conceit of this comic. It's odd. There is an element of this story that almost feels, I don't want to say childlike, but it almost feels a little bit too simplistic to me, and that's probably wrong, but at the same time I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I like it feels refreshing to me because Mark Waid, he's just normally, I think of a time in the past where all these plot points could take easily much longer to tell, but he keeps we're hitting the ground running on all these issues, and a lot's happening, and it's a lot of fun, and we're not necessarily having like deep introspective character moments, but that's not what this is. This is a crisis adventure. It's a crisis in time with different versions of the past and present of the Justice League and the Legion of Doom. And meanwhile, we got Airwave, who's revealed not to be dead after all. And Airwave, I think this is just a brilliant plot point. Well done by Mark Waid. It almost writes itself but I can't say that because Mark Waid thought of it the minute. But the idea that Airwave being the only way that all these Justice Leaguers can communicate, even though they're trapped in different parts of the timeline, Airwave is such that when he supposedly died in that explosion, he can he can link them all so they can communicate with each other, and presumably plan a counterattack to prevent the Legion of Doom from embarking on whatever chaos Gorilla Grodd has plans for future issues. Uh, but I think it's so well done. It's fun to read. Every page there's something happening. Honestly, you literally skip a page, you'll miss something that happened. I like it. It's fast paced. It's great art, and it's a lot of fun. We talked about the central a criticism that we talked about earlier is that this is a crossover with World's Finest, and maybe you could argue that this shouldn't be that way because it should just maybe be in Justice League Unlimited, but it doesn't bother me. I'm collecting both anyway, and frankly, I think uh, not to be a little bit not to be obtuse about it, but I think anyone who's collecting DC right now, you really should be collecting World's Finest and Justice League Unlimited, because I think they're two of the more exciting titles, quite frankly, and they're a lot of fun. And I think ultimately they're going to be related to at some point what's happening in the Absolute Universe with Darkseid and everything else. So, anyways, lots of fun here, and I definitely this definitely made my top 5. I didn't mind the art by Travis Moore, although I will agree with you that it's I wouldn't have guessed this was Travis Moore's art at first glance. So it was a little surprising, but I enjoyed it. I think it was pretty well done, and I like the coloring too. I love the cover as well. So this has been a blast, this whole series, and I get the sense too, and I say this all the time, that Mark Waid, it's like Mark Waid is having fun scripting this. I get that sense, and that's what him and Jeremy Adams have in common. You can both tell that they're having fun doing what they're doing.
Yeah, it's funny you mention it being a crossover with World's Finest. So I, I read this and I saw that the final issue, the final part of this story is going to be, we have to wait a whole month. It's going to be in Justice League number 8. But still, when the next issue of World's Finest popped up in our press box, I was like, oh, I can read the final part of We Are Yesterday. I know what's going to happen, and I opened it up and I started reading it. It has nothing to do with this at all. It's like Perry White and Jim Gordon on a like a late night talk show kind of thing. That's even how it's solicited. Nothing to do with We Are Yesterday. I started reading it. I was like, what? How is this We Are? And then I remembered, oh wait, this isn't We Are Yesterday. I still gotta wait for that. So I'd say it wasn't in my top 5, and yet I'm still trying to go and read the final part of it to find out what happens as soon as I can. So I'm definitely enjoying it. All right, this next book makes both of our top 5. Absolute Wonder Woman number 8 from writer Kelly Thompson. Hayden Sherman is the artist. Jordi Belair on colors. Becca Carey on letters. I don't have a lot to say about it, even though it's in my top 5, other than I really enjoyed it. I thought the main cover was fantastic. I think even though this is issue 8, it's already a great jumping on point for anybody who hasn't been reading Absolute Wonder Woman. And I love that there's a text page that's kind of a summary that will get you caught up if you haven't been reading it. But I also feel like so far, like the first 6 issues were, hey, let's get to know who Absolute Wonder Woman is through the context of Gateway City being threatened by a giant, like extra dimensional insect like creature, right? The Tetracide. And it was Diana in action and us finding out things about Diana, in the course of her trying to save Gateway City, like the fact that she'd been, raised in hell by Circe, and the fact that she was missing an arm, and the arm that she had was magical, and she wields magic, in a more active way as kind of a source. Her adopted mother Circe being a sorceress, so she collects different things that she needs to perform spells, and like a true witch, if you will, or a true sorceress. Much more so than the main universe. So Wonder Woman. So definitely a way to get to know her through the action of that story. And then with the next couple issues with gorgeous art by Matea de Iluise, it was a way for us to see the tenacity of her, like more of her personality. Like those first 6 issues showed us who she was through her actions. And then the next 2 issues kind of showed us who she was through kind of emotion, right? Like doing what she did, strengths of will and what have you, to save her mother and outwit Hades. Um, and so that was fantastic. And now with this issue 8, it feels like, okay, now that we've been introduced to her and those 2 different sides of her in 2 different ways with some fantastic art from both artists, we're now going to hit the ground running and really start taking the journey that we're going to take with this version of Wonder Woman, with the Absolute Wonder Woman version of Wonder Woman. And along the way, like with that being said, we also get an absolute version of one of Wonder Woman's very first villains, all the way back from Sensation Comics number 2 in the Golden Age, Dr. Poison. And again, like fantastic character design from Hayden Sherman. The way Dr. Poison. So this version of Dr. Poison apparently is like a poisonous gas. And so the only way that she has to interact with the world is through inhabiting like this suit. And she's in the employ of is it Victoria? Is it
Veronica Kale.
Kane? Veronica
Veronica
Kale. That's
Kale.
who it is. I always
Yeah.
want to call her Victoria Kane for some reason. Veronica Kale, who's Greg Rucka. The main
Creation.
universe one is created by Greg Rucka
Yes.
as kind of this like almost like a Lex Luthor type villain, but for Wonder
Yeah.
Woman. Um, and so it's the absolute version, and she's the one that's manipulating Dr. Poison and using Dr. Poison's genius to further her own ends, and keeps promising her that she's going to get her a better suit, right, where she has a little bit better fine motor skills or whatever, rather than this like giant, like looks like a almost like a deep sea diver suit, the kind where you still had the hose that led all the way up to the ship on the surface. Um, but then we find out later that Kale has no intention of doing that because she wants to be sure to keep Dr. Poison under her thumb. But getting such a classic Wonder Woman villain as Dr. Poison, like we've seen Barbara Minerva show up, not as Cheetah yet. And the argument could be made that that's perhaps Wonder Woman's most iconic or well-known arch villain. But Dr. Poison, like, she was actually in the first Wonder Woman movie, and I thought they handled her portrayal very well. But that being said, like the majority average comic reader who isn't like a big fan of Wonder Woman may not even be aware of how long ago Dr. Poison. I mean, again, second issue, it's Sensation Comics too. So it was fantastic. I loved the take on Dr. Poison. Loved the character design. Just a lot to like about this issue. I've been a little up and down on Absolute Wonder Woman. It didn't grab me right away, but I will say it has had maybe the best momentum and the best consistency. Like every issue has been better than the last, and that continues with this issue 8. So I thought it was fantastic. What do you think, Rocky?
I like this. This is actually probably one of my well, it's hard to beat the last two issues with with the lawyers what is art. But I will say this. This is Hayden Sherman. I think the reason why I like Hayden Sherman's art better in this than in any of the issues he's drawn so far is that we're moving away from all the redness, all the red shades and all the orange and red and dark red shades and the war. I don't think that was I think that I that didn't work as well as it could. I like that there's more color this issue. I like the fact that and Hayden Sherman's art, I think, shines a little bit better with it because one of the things we were reviewing Hayden Sherman's Batman Patterns run, I thought his art was substantially better, or at least I had a better appreciation in Batman Patterns. Here, I have a more of appreciation too. When he seems to be more comfortable in it. The line work seems to be better. Wonder Woman seems to be more attractive. The backgrounds are more. I just find them more detailed here. I love Veronica Kale. There seems to be even more distinction between the looks of the characters as well. And I love the background. And Kelly Thompson. I'm really starting to appreciate like all my earlier criticisms of Kelly Thompson. I thought it was in the first few issues, I categorized what I thought was going to be a one-dimensional take on an absolute Wonder Woman. I'm happy to report, and I will happily remove my foot from my mouth and say I was absolutely wrong. I love the rich subtext of what's going on behind the scenes here, how it was revealed last issue that everything that Wonder Woman has done, it has been a master plan from when Diana was very first young and when she first became when she was first on Hell, raised by Cersei, how it was the gods had planned pardon me, not the gods, but Wonder Woman and certain few of the select gods and the Amazons, or somebody was planning for one day Wonder Woman to come forward into man's world, and she even had uh, the ruler of hell, Hade's wife, play a part in that scheme to have Wonder Woman even escape hell to begin with. And all of this, Wonder Woman herself even says here, she admits to Steve Trevor that she's actually a plan in and of herself. She herself is part of the plan, and not only to protect man's world, but something else. The Tetracide, when it was attacking in previous issues, it attacked through a very deafening kind of sonic sound. So it was a sonic weapon. Veronica Kale wants to take advantage of that. She's utilizing Dr. Poison to put something together and to figure that out. And already you could. you could have some sympathy for Dr. Poison's circumstances. Already there's hints that she's from World War II and she's contained in this World War II containment suit that looks archaic, and yet she's a super genius. And Veronica Cale, you could already see she's got some degree of evil in her and and narcissism in her, and it works, it flows, it does so well. You see further characterization of Cheetah in this issue, where Cheetah is, pardon me, Barbara Minerva. She's not Cheetah yet. Barbara Minerva. She's too inquisitive. She wants to touch everything. She's not patient. She's impulsive, and it's good. It's subtle characterization, but it nails it. And you can already see the underpinnings of what will likely become some rivalries in the future. I thought it's so well done. We got a new headquarters. We got Hecate International actually bought some land for Wonder Woman, upon which now she's created this new. It almost looks like a glorified Hall of Justice, but it's called the Huron, in the middle of Gateway City, where Wonder Woman literally owns her own property, and it works. It's this is really moving forward, and full credit to Kelly Thompson. I still have my issues with some of the foundations of this character, but the story's so damn good. She's pulled me right in, and she's won me over at this point. And this level of storytelling, I continue to be glued to this title. And I got to tell you, oh man, it's rising in the ranks. It's still absolute Batman, followed by absolute Superman, followed by absolute Wonder Woman. But absolute Wonder Woman now is ahead of absolute Flash and absolute Martian Manhunter and absolute Green Lantern for me. So she's firmly in third place, and it's a good place to be.
Yeah, she might. I don't know. Might even be second for me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
right on.
But yeah, obviously, Absolute Superman 1 is up there. I might be enjoying Absolute Wonder Woman more than Absolute Batman. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, up next, another book that's in both of our top 5, in my top 3 actually. It's Mr. Terrific Year 1. Al Letson on the script, Valentino Di Landro on the art, Marisa Louise handles the colors for pages 4 through 20. Edwin Gallman handles the art and colors on pages 1 through 3, and then Lucas Gattoni on the letters. So the present time, the pages 1 through 3, the Edwin Gallman art, interesting. Like I get it, right? Like it's in the present as opposed to being in the past back in Mr. Terrific Year 1. So they wanted that distinction, but the art styles are. I mean, it's so clear that it's by a different artist. And I knew this was Valentino Delandri, and so I got tricked by the first couple of pages. I was like, oh, did he change his art style? Man, this is going to be really great. And then I got to page 4, and I was like, oh, there's the super thick lines of Delandro. So it's not my favorite art. That being said, I think he does a good job. Like he's always had great storytelling and really great character acting. I just wish his line weights weren't quite so thick, because I think he'd get more out of the movement. His style would be a little bit more kinetic, but that's not for me to say, to tell him to change his style or what have you. But all that being said, getting a chance to see Mr. Terrific when he's not kind of the, for lack of a better term, arrogant, pretentious, condescending prick that he can be. Like certainly he was in the pages of the most recent Challenges of the Unknown series that we had, when we kind of see him humanized is the word that I'll use, because he's not super confident. He's lost his wife. He's still, that pain is still fresh for him, and he's still struggling to put it together. I think Al Letson, the writer here, really nails that for Michael Holt, for Mr. Terrific. So, and I liked this so much that even though it's not my favorite art style, again, I thought Delandro did a fine job. And I was so pulled into this story. This maybe could be the highest compliment I can give to a comic. Now, Mr. Terrific had a New 52 series when the New 52 launched. And when the New 52 launched, I picked up every single, all 52 books for the first 3 issues, and then I kept, and then I decided, like, because I pre-ordered, and before I'd had the chance to really read the first issue, I had already ordered issues 2 and 3, and so then after that, with issue 4 going forward, I only got the ones that I couldn't afford to keep going and getting everything, so I had to pick and choose, and so Mr. Terrific was one of the ones that I dropped. After reading this first issue, immediately before I even read another comic, I went on eBay and I was like, all right, I need the series. I need the issues that I'm missing. And it was easier just to buy the whole run because it only went 8 issues, um, by a guy named Eric Wallace. So I got all those issues with shipping and everything for like $20. It's like $20, and with tax and chain and shipping, I think it was like 21.86 or something like that for all 8 issues. So I can go back and read it. That's how much I enjoyed this. Um, that's how much this was like, oh man, I don't know enough about Mr. Miracle. I haven't read all the Mr. Miracle stuff. I really, I read those first 3 issues. I kind of barely remember them because it's been 14 years and it's not one that I've gone back and reread. And yeah, that's how much I wanted to know more about Mr. Miracle, that I went and bought those issues. So
Yeah.
I love this. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the character work is really where this book shines, uh, with a compelling story, well paced, tons of action, and just fantastic uh, job of Lester showing us um, the trauma so plain to see on in who Michael Holt is, with him not wanting to leave his house, and despite the proddings of his best friend or whatever. I just thought this was phenomenal. Now I've always kind of liked Mr. Miracle and wanted to know more about him, but yeah, I've never pulled the trigger before on picking up those issues, and like I'd love to have an issue of his first appearance, which is Inspector, I think 54. The only problem is, as soon as he got announced as being in the Superman movie, the speculators went in and like swooped up on that book, and it's like a $200 book, which doesn't make any sense because we all know once the movie comes out, maybe even before, it's going to drop like a rocket. So,
Yeah.
or drop like a stone, maybe I should say. So maybe I'll pick it up on the cheap later, but I definitely want to know more. Um, and so when this was announced, I was excited, and then I saw Delandro on art, and I was a little less excited because again, his art is just not an art style that I really enjoy. But again, that being said, I thought he did a fantastic job. This is the best I've seen his art look. Not that I've seen everything he's done. Like I've never read any Bitch Planet or whatever. But yeah, I just thought this was phenomenal. I can't wait for the next issue. I think um, like I had already pre-ordered the main cover, and then I think after I read this, I went and got a second variant cover where he's holding a T sphere and his face is being reflected in it by God, what's his name? Doc Shaner. Um,
Right.
yeah, that one's by Mitch Gerrits, and then there's a third one by Doc Shaner that
Okay.
I ordered as well. So anyway, I thought it was fantastic, Rocky. What'd you think?
Well, first of all, your comments on Delandro's art here were substantially better. I mean, you and I mean, remember when we tried to read, when we reviewed Black
Black
Manta, that
Man.
series?
Yeah,
Oh my God, that was, I think
it
that
was
was like, I mean, look, I don't even want to comment on it other than the fact to say that it wasn't very good. This is substantially different. All of a sudden, it's like I mean, I'm going to do his Valentin Delandro. All of a sudden, he's learned how to do backgrounds. All of a sudden, it's actually the backgrounds make sense. The bodies are properly proportioned. I mean, it was everything's better. It's I get a sense of the life of in the early years of Mr. Terrific, and it's it's yeah, it's really good. It actually it works well, and it tells the story well. Visually tells the story well, and it's a great story. I mean, in the early years, Michael Holt loses his wife and child in a car accident. He basically spends 2 years basically in a depressed state. His friend Dre wants to always get him out of his get him out of his doldrums, get him back to have some passion for life. But it's very hard. In the meantime, he sells Holt Industries to a woman by the name of Athena Prescott. And Athena Prescott is essentially utilizing technology that Michael Holt, Mr. Terrific, ultimately did at one time begin to develop. And it was a new sort of power source. But this energy power source is rumored to get people sick, and it's it's not a very it has ill effects on people. And this Athena Prescott wants to have approaches the mayor and wants to, and she gets it passed. She manages to get it passed through City Hall so she can utilize this new energy source. In the meantime, what Dre isn't telling Michael is that he's actually part of I guess a quasi rebellious, shall we call him a well-intentioned terrorist group, for lack of a better way of putting it, that wants to take down Athena Prescott Industries, because they think they're doing some good in protecting the city from this energy source. And they end up ultimately getting caught at the end, and that pulls. And then Michael Holt gets pulled into this mess that his friend Dre has sort of pulled him into, and it ends with his friend Dre getting shot. And it's like you said, it's action packed, and to have all this in one issue, and it ends on a hell of a cliffhanger. This is what makes for a great Netflix. One of the things, a quick aside, one of the things that the Netflix analytics taught is that you have to capture the audience in the first 7 minutes, or you'll lose them. And that's how come for every Netflix series, you'll often see a lot of action jam-packed in the first 7 minutes, because that's what their analytics say. With comic books, a lot of that's the importance of that first issue. And that's what this first issue does. For the it took me longer than 7 minutes to read this first issue, but in the probably the 12 minutes it took me to read this issue, I really enjoyed it. It pulled me in, and I'm in it now. Now I'm curious. I'm here, and I want to stay to the end. And great, yeah. So good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic issue.
And I ranked it. I put it in. It came in at number 4 for me. I will reveal that, number 4.
Gotcha. All right, up next, coming in at number 8 for me, is Peacemaker presents the Vigilante and Eagly double feature. Vigilante story written by Tim Seeley with art by Mitch Gerrards, lettering by Pat Brosso, and then the Eagly story written by Rex Ogle, pencils and inks by Matteo Loli, colors by John Kalis, and letters by Pat Brosso. This is fun. It's funny. It's what you would expect from a comic that's based on the James Gunn Peacemaker. But again, not my version of Vigilante, not my preferred version of Vigilante. And I've still yet to see Suicide Squad or the Peacemaker TV series. So it doesn't rank super high for me, although it is enjoyable. What about you, Rocky?
Yeah, same comments. This is, if you enjoy the series, you'll enjoy the TV series Peacemaker. You'll enjoy this because it's bang on. The art is really good. I mean, Mitch Gerard's art in the first story, Time for Fables, and the other Matteo Loli on the second story with Peacemaker works really well too. It has all the gross violence and humor that you would expect. And just a shout out that, James Gunn, it's based on scripts by James Gunn. James Gunn, it was just revealed today, he strongly hinted that there is, at San Diego Comic-Con, that he's going to be there. And there's a lot of speculation that maybe the whole cast of that he's going to mention a lot more about what he's got plans for the DC universe, and the Peacemaker crew will be there, along with Supergirl, the Supergirl actress, and Superman team, and and they might, speculation is that they might reveal who the new Batman's going to be in the upcoming Batman. Is it Brave and the Bold movie, or the World's Finest movie? Whatever. I think it's the Brave and the Bold movie. But in any event, James Gunn, Hall H. I'm going to be at San Diego this year, so I'm excited about that. And I don't know if we'll be able to get into Hall H, but maybe there'll be an attempt made. We shall see.
I mean, for me, Holly, it's not worth the time investment. Usually,
You got to camp overnight.
Yeah, you don't have to camp overnight anymore. It's easier to get in than it used to be, but and I could probably get a press pass where I would just walk in and have to sit in the press area, but I wouldn't be able to get that for you. But yeah, it's not like you hear all the news; it all comes out anyway. Like you want to be in the room. Like for me, I'm just not. That's more the movie and TV stuff, and And I know people that's their end all be all, but I'm more about the comics. Now that being said, what if James Gunn is there and all these stars are going to be there or whatever? That means um, the DC party that you have to be a DC creator or executive to attend. Like they don't allow, they specifically don't allow press. Like I'm good friends with Jeremy, right? I couldn't even be Jeremy's plus one. Like they would not let me in. They don't let press in that party at all.
Yeah.
That would be the thing to go to though, because that's where everybody's more relaxed and have drink in their hand, whatever, and you'd be able to talk to James Gunn or talk to whoever is going to be playing Batman because they'll be there and what have you. But yeah, that's the one part DC party I've never been able to get into. The one San Diego party I've never been able to get into. That would be cool to attend one of these days. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's move on. Superman number 26, Superman Red Part 1, which that term Superman Red has a loaded meaning for a lot of people. Superman Blue, Superman Red. Anyway, written by Joshua Williamson, Eddie Barrows and Eber Ferreira handle some of the art. Obviously, pencils by Barrows and inks by Ferreira. And then Sean Isaacs handles the interludes. And then it's all colored by Alejandro Sanchez with letters by Ariana Mayer. So this is us seeing the manifestations of the synthetic red kryptonite that Farman Graft infected Superman with. God, it's like 6-7 issues ago now. And we're starting to see it cause him more and more problems where he's going to have to confront it head on. And then we do have some interludes with one of them shows us Zod being attacked by Coons, and we know that Superwoman, Lois Lane, lost her powers. The speculation that we had all along was she had Zod's powers. So the question becomes, does Zod realize he has his powers back? Does he even have his powers back? Did his powers go back from Lois Lane back to Zod? So we'll see if that's going to be the case, but it's definitely hinted at. And then the second interlude is at the end of time, where we see 3 members of Darkseid's Legion of super villains, I guess, superheroes / villains. We're not sure exactly what to label them. They're attacking the Time Trapper. They're careful not to kill him because they don't want to make him more powerful. That's what happens to Doomsday. Every time he dies, he evolves and comes back faster. They just want to cause him a lot of pain, so kind of showing how evil they are. But then, like I said, the rest of the issue is basically Superman dealing with the fallout of the last couple of issues and what happened with Lex, and Lex killing his. I don't want to say it was his clone, but that artificial being that he created, and Superman losing his temper and then realizing that the red kryptonite is affecting him more. We have an emotional scene with Lena not understanding why her father did what he did. Feels like she's been betrayed. She feels like she's been betrayed by Mercy, who Mercy kind of did a heel turn last issue. Superman feels like he can't trust her anymore either. It's almost like she's shown her true colors when he thought she was going to be an ally. And it's almost like the only good person in the issue is Lex Luthor, which is so strange. Even Superman himself kind of loses his temper, and red kryptonite's affecting him. And again, he's fighting as best he can. But Luthor's the only one who seems, virtuous throughout, which is so strange because at the end of the day, he goes to Farman Graft and says, hey, you've turned Superman into a ticking time bomb with that red K that you infected him with, and you're going to help me cure him. And Farman Graft are like, why would we do that for you? And he says, well, because if you will, I promise the 3 of us will fight to the death, that's what they want, right? Like Farman Graft still want revenge on Luthor for showing up in Metropolis all those years ago and basically replacing them and making them obsolete. And then to top it all off, we get Marilyn Moonlight showing back up at the end because, she's always purported to be the savior of Metropolis. And she's like, I'm ready to save Metropolis, even if it's from you, Superman, because she's worried that he's losing control because of the red kryptonite. And that last splash page from Eddie Barrows with Marilyn Moonlight's like the inside of her cape and like under her hat and this lightning, supposed to be, I guess, like moonlight or what have you, coming off of her gun. Like, what a fantastic job Adriana Lucas did on the colors for that. And obviously Eddie Barrows and Eber Ferrer on the line work, just phenomenal. I don't know how you look at this splash page and don't like want to know more about Marilyn Moon Knight, don't want to pick up the next issue and see what her fight with Superman is going to be like. I mean, yeah, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece of art. So I continue to really enjoy Superman by Joshua Williamson. I think at this point it's fair to say that this Superman run, these 26 issues of Superman that Joshua Williamson has done, are my favorite things that I've ever read that Joshua's done. And he's done some fantastic stuff, but this for me is he's got it when it comes to Superman. Like he's got who the core of the character. I feel like on his Flash run at times he didn't always nail it when it came to Wally with who Wally is and his connection to his family and kids and what have you. He had some missteps here and there, but man, he has nailed it on every single issue of the Superman series. So he's done a fantastic job.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just add, I agree. He's done a really good job in Superman. It's probably arguably it seems to be the most varied in terms of different plot lines, different adventures, different subplots. It's been fun. It's been eclectic. It's been all over the place, but it's had good pacing in it, and even despite some big events and everything else, it really has worked, and it just really works well. And this coming full circle with the Superman Red, with him finally, with Farm and Graft returning, because they planted the seeds that essentially have resulted in Superman become rage filled and and arguably poisoned with this red kryptonite or whatever exactly the details are. It's really something. I'm really enjoying, by the way, Lena Luthor as well, who ends up leaving this issue frustrated with feeling betrayed by Mercy, even feeling betrayed by her father, disagreeing with her. And I'm wondering, is she leaving to go off to the pages of Supergirl? I don't know. I've not read ahead on the solicitations, but I would. I'd love to see that actually. But in any event, I'm really curious about Zod because we had speculated months ago that Lois got Zod's powers, or likely did, or we speculated that was a possibility, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But in any event, it's just so well done. I don't need to add more to your comments. Eddie Burrows' art's fantastic. I really love the pages with Lena Luthor. I love the way Eddie Burrows draws faces. I really love them. He's so good at making them expressive, and he's so good at showing emotions on his faces. I love I just love his particular style in that regard, and his rendition, and the emotional and the outbursts, and the interaction between Lena and her father. I thought really drove home this issue, and you really feel. I like, it's not how DC manages to do something very well when it comes to Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor has gone back and forth between being good and bad and in between so many times. You think that it would be tropey already, but for some damn reason, I always seem to enjoy it. It just always seems to work for me. They always seem to handle it relatively well. And I particularly love Joshua Williamson's take on Lex Luthor here. And I know inevitably Lex Luthor always ends up being, the usual asshole evil self again, but I kind of like this Lex Luthor, this complex, multi-layered Lex. And I really like what Joshua Williamson's done with him, and continues to do with him, because who knows what the future holds.
Yeah, I mean, what a time to be a Superman fan. Absolute Superman, just killing it. Action Comics, we're about to get a story we've never had before. Superman actually learning how to use his powers, uh, based on the first issue of Superman Unlimited from Dan Slott. That was fantastic. All new era, kryptonites everywhere. Green K in that case, and he has some sort of new powers. There's glowing golden on the final page, and then with what Joshua Williamson is doing in the pages of the regular Superman title, like I can never remember. Maybe we go back to the Triangle era where that's really a cheat, right? Because even though there was 4 books, it was all one story, and even though they were, each handled it by individual creative teams, they were all working together to tell one cohesive story. So you can't really say, all 4 of the books were fantastic, because they really were it was all one book, really, in a lot of ways. So I say all that to say, here we have 4 separate Superman titles, and they're all different in their own ways, focusing on different things, and they're all fantastic. Like that's never happened in my lifetime. That's just, yeah, what a time to be a Superman fan. All right, last book kind of goes without saying. It's not an either of our top five. It's Flash number 21 from good
Uh,
old Simon Spurrier, art by Vasco Gregev, colors by Matt Herms, letters by Hassan Otsman Elhau. As I often do, I was just on Comic Book Roundup to talk about the Batman Hush. Was there earlier today to look at the the trend on Flash, and yeah, it continues to trend down. But what's so interesting is it actually trended up from the last issue on the user ratings. Like the issue 19 was 5.4 user rating, and then it jumped up to 7.8. So 19, so 2 issues ago was 5.4 average user rating, and then last issue was issue 20 was a 7.8. I was like, what? Because the last issue didn't improve. Like, and then I looked at it, and the number of ratings, like the number of people rating it, has gone way down. And so it's actually one of those things where I went. That caused me to go back and look, and yeah, fewer and fewer people are rating each subsequent issue, which tells me that people are just they're not reading it. They're dropping it. They're just not reading it anymore. So yeah, if you have the few people that are enjoying it are still the ones reading it and reviewing it, then yeah, it makes sense that the score would go up. But I did appreciate that Barry showed up in this issue and gave us a little more context. But this is still just a mess. Um, I, I, yeah, I'm not enjoying it. I'm ready for something different. Because I did notice it. He's not always super wordy, um, but he can be at times. This issue, I thought he did a good job of not being as wordy as he's been in the past. Um, but yeah, but it's funny you mentioned earlier. I was going to comment on it. I forgot when we were reading them, talking about Absolute Martian Manhunter, and you're talking about it being a wordy book. So I read. I have 5 panels that I'm doing that I'm moderating at Phoenix Fan Fest coming up here in a couple weeks.
yeah,
Phoenix Fan Fusion, whatever it's called. One of them is a Daredevil panel, and covering um, Born Again, the original Frank Miller, and then Guardian Devil, which is the first 8 issues of the '98 Daredevil series written by Kevin Smith, and then the first 6 issues of the Zdarsky run. Uh, and I hadn't read Guardian Devil since it came out. You want to talk about wordy? Oh my God, that's crazy wordy. So reading the Absolute Martian Manhunter was, yeah, that was nothing compared to what I read with Guardian Devil. So it's kind of funny. But anyway, I
yeah,
just thought of that because yeah, I will give credit to Si Spurrier that this is he does a better job here of not just bombarding us with dialogue as much as he has in the past. But
yeah,
even that being said, this is still a little bit of a heavily scripted book that's still quite a bit of a mess, and it's just not working for me. So
yeah.
I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, I'd add that because one of my central criticisms that I said repeatedly in passing reviewing Si Spurrier's Flash was that at no point in any of the issues did one character turn to the other character and ask, "What's going on?" There wasn't, as the reader, I wanted it. I can't possibly. There has to be some character that is curious as to what the hell is going on. That some character is going to explain to the other character, and that's how we readers find out what's going on. Well, actually, I feel like it's almost for the first time we got Barry Allen and Wally West having an explanation, having a conversation, and we kind of get some idea what's going on because they actually tell each other what's going on. So that helped us a little bit here. Basically, it was a little annoying only to find out that it's much simpler than we thought. It's just all is about this is just about trying to push the moon in front of the sun so that we can have an eclipse. So Eclipso can keep. I mean, that seems to be what it's for. And there, for some reason, Wally West has to recruit a bunch of past iterations of himself to battle the forces that want to push the moon in front of the sun. And I still don't really get why. I still don't understand. This seems to be, if that's the goal, I don't know why it needs to be such a convoluted plot. Some throw in here the need that a conversation with Barry Allen, him losing a ring. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure is the Barry Allen we know and love actually dead, and like I'm not really sure. I'm not sure, really sure. Like, are we supposed to feel something emotional with all these Wally Wests being killed? I just thought it was really odd, and even the children, his own kids, how do they feel about watching iterations of their dad being murdered all over the place? Like the whole thing just seems off. It doesn't really feel that anything's at stake, and yet very clearly there's a hell of a lot at stake. Not only is Wally West repeatedly dying. I mean, you talk about Flash, it's an inside joke at DC on with every crisis, a Flash has to die. Well, this is literally Wally's crisis, and it's Wally dying repeatedly all over the place. And in any event, it is unfortunately too convoluted. But I just, it's called Bad Moon Rising, and emphasis on the bad, I think. But this isn't for me. But yeah. But anyways, that's
Yeah,
all I have
it's
to say
funny
about
because
that.
Barry kind of echoes up. He's like, yeah, this is not what Flash is. He says it right there. It's like Si Spurrier, no, this is not what Flash is. All the Wally's dying. It's terrible. So anyway, that does it for the single issues that are coming out this week. Everybody, there are a couple of facsimile editions also. Reprints as DC always does. So we've got where are the reprints? There we go. We've got an all-new collector's edition C58, which is a Superman and Shazam crossover, which is that's like the larger size, kind of like the Treasury editions. And then there's a special giant-sized edition of Hush 2 Part 1. So Batman 158 gets like a full, like 11.5 by 17. If you're so inclined, you can pick that up. So when it comes to collected editions this week, we've got Superman Volume 4, Rise of the Superwoman. So that collects issues 19 through 23 and the Superwoman Special number 1. That's 19 through 23 of the current Superman series that's going on. We've got a Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka omnibus, which is 1,040 pages for $125, which collects a ton of Greg Rucka Wonder Woman, more issues than I can care to read off here. But that Wonder Woman 1987 series, 195 through 226, plus a ton of other crossovers and related stuff. There's also Static Season 1, DC Compact Comics Edition, which collects Static Season 1, 1 through 6. That's the series that was written by Vita Ayala and drawn by Nicholas Draper Ivey. And then Draper Ivey took over, along with Vita Ayala, took over scripting for the second season. We also have Jenny Sparks trade paperback, which collects the recently concluded Tom King, Jenny Sparks series with art by Jeffrey Spokes. So that's issues 1 through 7. There's an Injustice 2 omnibus hardcover. So that's collecting a bunch of the Injustice 2 series from Tom Taylor. Issues 1 through 36, Injustice 2 Annual 1 and 2. I think that might be the whole entire series. That's 920 pages for $125. We've got Absolute Superman Red Sun hardcover. So to be clear, this is not the Absolute Superman that Jason Aaron is writing. This is Superman Red Sun getting the Absolute Edition treatment like DC has done for years, where they'll reprint kind of a seminal series in that larger size, the 11.5 by 17, like the actual size the art was drawn in. And Red Sun was an Elseworlds tale that lasted 3 issues. It's by Mark Miller. Dave Johnson's the penciler. So if you're a big fan of it, you want to see Dave Johnson's art in larger size, you can pick that up. Also, DC Pride to the Farthest Reaches hardcover, which basically collects last year's DC Pride issue in a hardcover format. If you're so inclined, you can pick that up. And then finally, Superman Secret Origin is getting a new trade paperback, and this is the Jeph Johns written retelling of Superman's origin. It's got pencils by Gary Frank, colors by Brad Anderson. This collects the whole thing. I think it was 6 issues long. And it was a little bit controversial when it came out, only because Superman Birthright had come out by Mark Waid, not that long before this,
Yeah.
and then just 2 years later, no, now we have another new definitive Superman story or Superman origin, because uh, Superman Birthright was that 2007.
Yeah.
I think.
You're
It
putting me
was
on the
2000.
spot.
I want to say it was 2007. No, 2004. So I guess it was a little long. It was 5 years, because
Yeah.
Superman Secret Origin was 2009. So Mark Waid got 5 years before his was overwritten, as opposed to, before that it was The Man of Steel, right, by John Byrne, which was 1986. So I think that was Waid's point. Like, so 86 to 2004 is 20 years. Like, John Byrne's origin got to stand for 20 years. Mine only got to stand for 5 before Jeph
Yeah.
Johns rewrote it. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's hard to argue with Gary Frank on Superman. And I like Superman Birthright. I like Superman Secret Origin. I like Man of Steel, for that matter. So I think there's room for all of them. But
Yeah, they're all good.
yeah, they're all good in their own ways. So anyway, time for our rankings and our picks of the week. I guess I'll go first. Rocky, I always put you on the spot, make you go first. So
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
So coming in at number 12, no surprise, Flash number 21, 11, Batman 160. Yeah, Hush is just not doing it for me. Harley Quinn 51 comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Metamorpho number 6. Number 8 is the Peacemaker double feature. Number 7, Justice League Unlimited number 7. Number 6, just missing my top 5, is Green Arrow number 24. And then coming in at number 5, I have Absolute Wonder Woman number 8. Number 4, I have Absolute Martian Manhunter number 3. Number 3, I have Superman number 26, which leaves Mr. Terrific and Green Lantern 23. And it, with all due respect to Jeremy, it wasn't really that close. Green Lantern 23 comes in at number 2, and surprising even myself was Mr. Terrific Year 1 number 1 coming in at
Wow.
number 1. As soon as I read it, I was like, well, that's my book of the week. And sure enough, I finished reading the rest of the books, and it held up. Yeah, I really, really dug it. It blew me away. And again, I mean, it's not really fair. Like Rocky had mentioned, the Delandro art, which was very light on backgrounds, and we really struggled with it in the Black Mana series. So that's what worried me. But like Rocky said, that like his art improved, different style a little bit. He still has the thick line weights, but not quite as thick. Thought the storytelling was still strong, background's more detailed, and it suited the story. And Lester did such a fantastic job on the characterization for Mr. Miracle. It was like actually a very, very easy pick for me to choose Year 1. It was never in doubt. Like, sometimes I struggle, I go back and forth, and I don't even make up my mind till the time comes. But yeah, I was just blown away. I was really impressed by what the creative team did.
Yeah.
And like I said, it caused me to go out and pick up, order other Mr. Miracle comics. So yeah, Al Leston, fantastic job, my man. Really, really great job. All right, what's your give us your countdown?
Well, coming in at number 11 for me was Flash 21. Number 10 was Batman 160. 9, Harley Quinn 51. 8 was Green Arrow 24. Uh, uh, and then I actually skipped. I would have probably squeezed in Peacemaker Presents, but I actually skipped him. I never even put him in my rankings. But he would have fit in around there. 7 was Metamorpho. 6 was Superman 26. My top 5 in 5th place was Justice League Unlimited, number 5. Coming in at number 4, that's where I put Mr. Terrific. Number 1, I was also very impressed. I wouldn't have dreamt. I was waiting to put Mr. Terrific dead last, even.
Yeah, yeah.
I really was. I swear to God, but it impressed me. I love the story. So kudos to the creative team on Mr. Terrific, because it pulled me in. 3rd place was Green Lantern 23. Jeremy Adams continues to hit it out of the park. Absolute Martian Manhunter, number 3, came in at number 2. And number 1 for me, number one for me was Absolute Wonder Woman #8. I I've done a lot of complaining and bitching about Wonder Woman in the mainstream DC universe over the years, and it's really my pleasure to have Absolute Wonder Woman, be able to say any iteration of Wonder Woman for DC. This is probably the second time or even third time I've had an Absolute Wonder Woman title in my top pick. And Kelly Thompson is really, she's doing some serious, significant world building here in a way that I underestimated her. I should have known better. I subscribed to her Substack, and I thank you for that, because you gifted me a month membership, and then I've continued that. Uh, and the characterization is growing, and it's even better than, I'm starting to enjoy Absolute Wonder Woman even more than I am The Call, which is a great series by Kelly Thompson as well. So Kelly Thompson's great job. Hayden Sherman, man, you know what? I actually didn't find myself missing the previous issues art as much as I did. Hayden Sherman's done a good job, and because of the storytelling's changing and his artistic style and the coloring is changing, he's changing it up too. He's done a really good job, and yeah, and overall, just, if there's a moral of the story here, is that the Absolute Universe for DC continues to impress the hell out of me, and it continues to always rank, usually all of them at some point, in my top 5, and even the mainstream titles. This is such a, and who would have guessed? Probably the shock of the week is Hush being so low on our list. The Hush 2 continues to be a disappointment, but yeah, overall, though, it's a very exciting top 5 this week.
Yeah, if we were giving out the Comic Source Awards, biggest disappointment at this point would definitely be Hush too. But yeah, I mean, just yeah, a fantastic week of books, really really great. Yeah, it's definitely a surprise, Mr. Terrific. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. If you're joining us on Rocky's YouTube channel, we really appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought of the books below, and ring that notification bell so you know when new content comes out. If you're listening to our audio only feed on the podcast, Comic Source Podcast, be sure you head over to YouTube and subscribe so you can see the art and the books that we're talking about every week. And if you prefer to listen to audio only, just go to wherever you get your podcast, your favorite app or platform, do a search for the Comic Source and subscribe. Make sure not to miss any upcoming episodes, and you have thousands of episodes from the past that you can go and check out. And then don't forget, over on the Comic Source YouTube channel is where the rest of the content comes out. I haven't been putting out too much content right now. Other things have been taking up my time, prioritizing my health a little more these days as I'm getting older. Plus, I've been preparing for those 5 panels that I mentioned I have to moderate at Phoenix Fan Fusion. Plus, I've been traveling for the day job. In fact, I have to leave for Denver tomorrow. So, all that being said, things will slow down for me within the next couple of weeks, especially once Fan Fusion's over. And I'll be able to get back on doing interviews and what have you. So don't forget, head over there. Just do a search for the Comic Source on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. So that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. We appreciate you joining us as always, and we'll talk to you next time.
Catch you later.